Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering woke high school panics as $1 million awarded for false claim of racism. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. This is a story about how two teens wanted to make their friend feel comfortable. He had terrible acne, so his mother went out and bought acne medication, a mask. All three of them wore the mask so that the one kid would not feel out of place. Instead, this was turned into some kind of a blackface accusation, and two kids were actually thrown out of their private school over it. It took them 3 years of litigation to get the school to be forced to take responsibility, and that's why they won $1 million judgment. From the Daily Mail, teens forced out of exclusive California Catholic high school for doing blackface are awarded $1 million after proving it was green acne medication. Two California teens who were forced to withdraw from an elite Catholic high school over accusations of blackface have been awarded $1 million and tuition reimbursement. So they got the money back that they prepaid for their tuition, because the high school not only kicked them out of school, but kept their prepaid tuition. A Santa Clara County jury sided with the teens, identified by the initials AH and HH, on two claims concerning breach of oral contract and lack of due process. The boys sued St. Francis High School in August 2020 after photos circulated of them sporting acne treatment masks. They had taken the photos 3 years ago. They had no intention of trying to insult anybody with the photos. For them, it was just a silly photo. The controversy started when the boys were accused of performing blackface and ultimately pressured into withdrawing from the prestigious Mountain View school. And the way they were pressured into withdrawing from the school was that the school told them, listen, we're accusing you of this. We said you did it. We're not going to look into the claims. We're just accusing you. You're affecting our optics at our private school. So we're just kicking you out. If you force us to kick you out, if you don't withdraw, wherever you transfer to, we will tell them why we had to kick you out. We will smear you as children at the next high school. That's how despicable the school is. Quote, it was quite clear the jury believed these were innocent face masks, according to attorney Krista Baughman, who told this to the San Francisco Chronicle after the judgment. Quote, they are young kids. Their internet trail is going to haunt them for the next 60 years. Now they don't have to worry about that. The teens lost on 3 other claims alleging breach of contract, defamation, and a violation of free speech. And those are additional causes of action. As we've seen with other lawsuits, plaintiffs will bring multiple causes of action, hoping to win on all of them, but if not winning on all of them, at least winning on a couple of them. Or at least one. Or settle. But this wasn't a settlement. The school wasn't even decent enough to settle with them and offer them some money. They had to get the award from the jury. They had to go through the whole case and get that award from the jury. The plaintiffs initially sought $20 million in their lawsuit when they filed in Santa Clara County Superior Court 3 years after they and a friend who attended another school and was not included in the lawsuit snapped a selfie while donning acne treatment masks. In the photo, the boys' faces were covered in dark green medication. A photo taken a day earlier revealed that they had tried on white face masks as well. According to documents reviewed by DailyMail.com, another SFHS student obtained a copy of the photograph from a friend's Spotify account and uploaded it to a group chat in June 2020. The photo resurfaced on the same day SFHS graduates created a meme pertaining to the death of George Floyd, which sparked its own outrage and controversy. The student insinuated that the teens were using blackface and deemed the photo another example of racist SFHS students, before urging everyone in the group chat to spread it throughout the school community. On June 4, 2020, Dean of Students Ray Histaki called the boys' parents to ask them if they were aware of the photograph. The parents asserted that the teens had applied green face masks 3 years earlier. 3 years earlier. Quote, with neither ill intent nor racist motivation, nor even knowledge of what blackface meant, according to the lawsuit. Less than 4 business hours later, Principal Katie Tickle called HH's parents and said the teen was not welcome back to SFHS. And by the way, we're keeping your money. Principal Katie Tickle, that's this lady. This is a photo she chose for herself. Look at those eyes. This is what you get at a woke high school. When the boy's father reiterated that his son had not engaged in blackface, Teagle responded that her decision was not based on intent, but optics and the harm done to the St. Francis community. The kids didn't do anything. They did no harm to the community. How could you accuse them of doing something like blackface or doing anything that they did not do? Just because you feel it hurts the reputation of your school, how are you going to keep the money from these students, throw the kids out of the school, and somehow punish them for racism when you're not even interested in due process to find out even what their intent was? I'm not even sure if their intent was negative, that they would have a right to throw them out of the school in the first place. That's a whole different subject, because there are protections for speech, even speech we don't like. But this isn't even speech we don't like. It would be the same thing as if I took this woman's face and I put blackface on it using Adobe Photoshop and then told her, look, you've got to lose your job because someone distributed a photo with blackface on your face. And, you got to lose your pension as well. And this is going to affect you for the rest of your life. And she would say, oh my God, I would never do something like that. And I would say, I'm not concerned about the process. I'm just afraid about how it looks and what people's responses are. Let's just get rid of you as the principal and take away your pension. This issue of due process is, of course, not just about teenagers and principals. This is about all of our rights. Collective punishment should not exist in the United States. It doesn't exist legally. It's a communist concept. It's Marxism. It's evil. It needs to be stopped. This would have been an incredibly positive teaching moment if this principal had any common sense about her, or had any courage, or intelligence, or an ability to assess the situation and say, you know what? You're an educational institution. You could take the opportunity to teach people what is and what isn't racism, and how communication and speech is very important, and how we can't hold people accountable for our prejudices, because she was prejudiced. The community was prejudiced against these kids. I don't know what the kids were doing. I wasn't there. I wasn't part of the photograph. I've seen some of the trial stuff. But the teaching moment was to say you can't judge people based on your perceptions of things, based on how you feel about something. You've got to get down to the bottom of the truth, and then you can start addressing it. And if they had done that minimum amount of effort, if they had taught that moment when it was a little bit of a difficult time to teach because there were all the George Floyd riots and protests and things going on at the time. Yes, it was a difficult time, but that's the time you want to teach a lesson like that so that people can see, hey, you know what? Let's step back for a moment. Let's not all be crazy in the streets. Let's not all just see the differences in each other. Let's think about what's going on and try to learn from this situation. These are students. They're part of the future. That's what her responsibility was. I'm outraged by this. I had to do this video 2 times prior and stop my prior versions of the video. I couldn't even edit it because it's that disturbing. It's really set me off. No one, and I mean no one, deserves to be judged by the community's perceptions, knowing that they don't even have a complete picture as to what's going on, and to affect their teenage years in high school, and to affect their futures, and to threaten them that if they weren't going to agree with the way you wanted to abuse your authority, that you would tell the schools they transferred to what this false accusation was. $1 million really was not nearly enough. I'm glad the kids won, but they deserve that $20 million, if not more. That school should be shut down. These people should leave their jobs. This is not how you treat people. It doesn't matter what their skin color is. This principal, Teagle, went on to say that HH could choose to voluntarily withdraw from the school rather than be expelled with the incident scrubbed from his student record because, and it's not covered here in Daily Mail, but it was covered in multiple other articles, and I have like 5, 6 of these articles. In one of the other articles, it explains if it wasn't scrubbed from that student's record, it would have been part of their permanent record when they transferred to another school, which they were forced to do. By June 17th, the school's attorney was telling the families the image's disrespect was so severe as to warrant immediate dismissal. By the way, moronic teachers, moronic administrators, when you're going to expel someone or threaten to expel someone from a school, use the attorneys. That's what the attorneys are there for. Schools do pay attorneys, and when you get in that much trouble, you need to start using the attorneys. And if that wasn't enough, the school then backed a protest by parents who used the image as evidence of kids participating in blackface and thinking that this is all a joke, according to a Facebook page. The teens ultimately withdrew on June 19th, but HH encountered a problem when he attempted to join the football team at his new school. Despite T-Kill's promise, SFHS was required to disclose that he had switched schools to avoid disciplinary action. This would see him banned from playing sports for a year, per regional rules. T-Kill knew what she was doing in that case. I mean, I didn't do research on her thoughts inside her head, and I didn't get to interview her in a deposition. I'm not even an attorney, but I would like to know, did she know about that when she made this false promise to that student? The lawsuit asserted that the principal's violation of her verbal agreement constituted a breach of oral contract, which is one of the things that they won on. HH ultimately moved to Utah with his family in order to be eligible to play football during his senior year of high school. Had to move to Utah with his entire family. Everybody had to pick up and move because of this school. As part of the jury award, SFHS must reimburse the teens' moving and living costs. This lawsuit is our attempt to redeem our names and reputations and to correct the record to reflect the truth of what actually happened, the boy's family said in a joint statement at the time. A photograph of this innocent event was plucked from obscurity and grossly mischaracterized during the height of nationwide social unrest. And it was done so by someone who tried to create hostile race relations in their school. And it wasn't these students. It was someone deliberately making trouble who also should be held accountable. The parents claimed that SFHS and his leadership had rebuffed their attempts to correct the misunderstanding and seemed to have no interest in entertaining the truth. Judge Thang Barrett decided against dismissing the suit in January 2021, noting that there was no evidence of an investigation into the matter by administrators. Such a lack of due process for these students and for these Americans that they didn't even create a fake process. They didn't even create a flimsy process to show, oh, okay, well, we looked into it and we came to this conclusion. We didn't find the students' explanations to be legitimate to us. We think this was something they might have done. We have to make a decision based on this limited information that we have. Write some kind of a report. No report whatsoever. No investigation whatsoever. The students' rights had no value. And you want them to respect other people? You want them to consider others when they make their decisions and how they might affect other people when they put together a photograph like that, which they weren't even familiar with blackface. I mean, they're young teenagers. What the heck do they know? After the verdict came down, SFHS released its own statement. Representatives for the school said they respectfully disagree with the jury's conclusion as to the lesser claim regarding the fairness of our disciplinary review process. What was your process? You had literally no process. There was no written process. Doesn't seem like there was even an oral process. How can you say you had a good disciplinary review process or even a process at all, except to say that there's no process? SFHS claims they're now exploring legal options, including an appeal. They have zero legal options. They can try to file for an appeal. I don't think an appeals court would even hear this because a school, before they're going to expel people, before they're going to abuse their power and throw students out on the street and ruin their lives and damage their reputations, have to at least have some kind of a Title IX type finding. They have to have some kind of a process. This isn't a Title IX issue, but even with the terrible Title IX process and the terrible Title IX changes that the Biden administration is trying to push through, there's at least an unfair process. This is literally zero process. It's enough that one of the administrators says, no, I'm just going to mess with these kids. We're going to keep their money. We're going to throw them out of school. We'll tell them that if they agree to withdraw from school instead of forcing us to expel them, which puts the school in a much stronger position, theoretically, we'll just lie to them. We'll just tell them we're going to hide your record that isn't even a fair record and then violate that contract. And if the school wasn't able to hide the record, to purge the record because it's not legal, they shouldn't have offered to do it because they were responsible to do it, whether they were able to do it or not. The kid and his family actually had to move to Utah, an entirely different state, just so he could play football in his senior year. He's only got one senior year in his entire life. And I'm not saying that people don't do things that are racist, that are unfair, whatever it is. People do terrible things at all ages. High school students do need to know they need to respect other people. But you can't just accuse someone of something and not go through some kind of a due process. These students deserved a lot more than $1 million, and this person who was responsible, and she wasn't the only administrator there, the other administrators there were also irresponsible. Those administrators should be held personally responsible, and they should lose their jobs and they should lose their pensions. These parents and kids that were victims of this school seem to want to move on with their lives, which is admirable. But I do hope if this is appealed, or if they decide they want to pursue it, they'll go after those other claims again, because these kids were defamed. They were accused of something that they did not do. There was a process that was abused that was an extremely negative and damaging result for these students, and they deserve more justice than just this. But I will start with $1 million. They better hurry up and pay if they know what's good for them, so these parents don't get angry and start going after them again. At least give them back their tuition and maybe dispute the other amount. I mean, how dare they? Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.